Hello, everybody. Thought I would come at you here for 1 minute from vacation. Of course, by the time you see this, it might be over, might be home already. But I want to take a few minutes today to talk about something that's going on in the news that's kind of hard to ignore, and that is the clusterfuck going on over in Afghanistan right now. Now, I don't know what anyone else's opinion is out there about this, but I thought this was inevitable. We should never have been over there. It was very clear a long time ago that they did not really want to defend themselves or to be free from the Taliban. They're too indoctrinated into their religious beliefs and their love of subjugating women. You think the men in the country wanted to let women suddenly be equal? I don't think so. And I think they showed that time and time again. But like I say, I think the withdrawal over there was something that needed to happen eventually. If I remember correctly, Trump ran on that. That was one of the things people gave him credit for, was saying he would pull out of Afghanistan and just fuck them, let them deal with their own problems. But a lot of people are trying to politicize it, make it like, oh, it's the Dems' fault. It just does. The whole political thing about it just doesn't make sense to me, especially when you have Dick Cheney's daughter trying to blame Trump and Biden for the Afghan war. That was the most ridiculous piece of irony I had ever heard in my life. But I wanted to take a chance to not only just kind of say sort of a little bit how I feel about it. And remember, this is not the most educated opinion in the world, but I feel I have wanted to be out of Afghanistan for a long time. I felt it was always going to be a clusterfuck when we left. I was tired of sacrificing U.S. soldiers' lives for people who don't want to be helped and can't be helped. Also, I don't like it when people try to look at the military and be like, oh, it was a military failure. This wasn't a military failure. This was a political failure. This is a failure of all the presidents from Bush on down. You know, W, who started all this, although more it was Cheney and Rumsfeld that manipulated him into doing that for revenge for how they treated his father. But it was all a ridiculous farce from the beginning. It was a way to appease the Saudis. After the Saudis were probably the number one contributor to 9/11, we then basically rushed them out of the country, protected them, and then did favors for them and used this as an excuse, and also used it as an excuse to pass the Patriot Act. So we go into the wrong countries for the wrong reasons. We basically break it. And I've always been a firm believer of if you break it, you bought it. But here's the thing. Someone brought up the fact last night. They said, you know, you say pull out, let them deal with their own shit. But if you drive your car into someone's house, you don't just back out, pull away, and let them deal with their own problem. And I'm like, well, yeah, that makes sense. But if I drive my car into someone's house and I go, oh my God, I'm so fucking sorry. Your house has a market value of $500,000. The damages are $100,000. Here's $500,000, the full value of your home to have it fixed. And then I come back 3 months later, the hole is still there. Not only is the hole still there, but there's another big hole. And I say, well, what happened? Why have you not fixed your house? And they're like, I don't know. And I'm like, well, where's the $500,000 I gave you? And they're like, well, I don't know. And I do that 3 more times to where I've now paid them $1.5 million. And every time I come back, the money's gone and the house is in worse condition. At what point do I no longer have any obligation to those people? And that's kind of the way I see Afghanistan. We have no obligation to those people. They made their beds. Let them lie in them. They want to be ruled by a fascist religious cult. Let them do it. They seem to have no problem with that as long as they're only killing the people that they don't like. Like, as long as it's just subjugating women and they're just throwing gay people off of roofs and they're just doing stuff to foreigners and blah, 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 they're fine with it. It's just when one of their groups starts deciding that one of the other groups isn't pious enough that group suddenly starts having a problem with the oppression when it affects them. So don't have a lot of sympathy. And like I'm saying, this was a political failure from day one. Trump wanted to pull out. And I do think it's so pathetic that the RNC pulls down all their pages of on their website saying how they wanted an immediate withdrawal from Afghanistan as soon as they thought they could make a political thing out of it. So it just shows you that politicians are not the people that we should be listening to. I know a lot of veterans, of course, so do you. I've been looking at the official opinions of the major veterans organizations. I have not seen one of them that really supports staying in Afghanistan. I just don't think it's worth our lives, the lives of our soldiers, our children, in some cases. Don't think it's worth it. People say, oh yeah, but us pulling out quickly, that just caused death. No, actually, pulling out quickly saved lives of U.S. soldiers. One thing I can talk about is some tactics for withdrawal, since I was trained in that. But if we had done a prolonged withdrawal where we gradually drew down sources, it would become harder and harder to maintain operational safety. The opposing force, which is the Taliban, would have started launching attacks, killing U.S. soldiers, U.S. personnel, just so that they could say, look, we drove them out. We defeated them on the battlefield and they ran. That's what would happen from a prolonged withdrawal. That's why those don't happen. If you haven't won the war, you don't do a prolonged withdrawal. If the enemy's still there, you don't do a prolonged withdrawal. You have to just cut bait and get. And yes, that is going to cost Saudi lives. Not Saudi, Afghanistan's, Afghani lives. But I don't care if 100,000 Afghanis die over the next 6 months. As long as we saved 100 U.S. soldiers, I'm okay with that. Because, like I say, I have no loyalty to Afghanistan or the people. Do I support Biden? Well, I support the fact that we should be getting out of there. And I support any president or any leadership that actually would get us out of these freaking quagmires. Do I think they did it well? Of course not. And it wasn't the fact that it's going to be dangerous for the Afghanis that I think they did wrong. This bullshit of going on the news and saying, oh, we don't have a long time before the Afghanis have any problems with the Taliban, and we've equipped their army, and blah, blah, blah. We knew their army wasn't going to fight. That's been evident in every report to the Pentagon. They had no desire to fight. They had no desire to defend. That they would turn tail and run the first time they saw conflict. They knew that. They knew that the Taliban was poised and ready to move in immediately as soon as we withdrew. So that means the Biden administration is either totally incompetent, just stupid, or liars. They lied to try to, I think they used the better to ask forgiveness than permission method here and tried to keep people quiet until then by lying. So I don't like lying to the American people. It just goes to show you politicians are disgusting people all the way around. Could it have been handled better? Yeah, you could have been honest with the American people. Say, hey, we're going to do a withdrawal. It's going to be ugly, but we're going to save American lives. And we're going to let these people lie in their own bed. So I think I've made it clear how I feel about it. I don't support politicians at all. And I think Biden administration did it right. Of course not, because they can't be right. They can't. Well, they couldn't do it in a way that wasn't bloody, and they don't have the guts to be honest with the American people. Either that or they're too stupid. Either way, that's not a sign of a good leadership. But I would love to hear from other people who think that there were better ways to do it, or they think there's different people to blame for it, or whatever. Because like I said, my opinion is not the most educated opinion in the world. So if you've got anything that you'd like to say contrary to what I like to say, like you think that is all Biden's fault, or Bush had nothing to do, whatever, anything you got that's different than my opinion. Because like I say, I blame all of them. And I think it is worth the Afghan lives to withdraw. Some people might have a real big problem with me on that. But like I say, they made their bed. And they're not Americans. I look out America first. I guess I am a nationalist in that way. And I guess since I am white, I guess that in some people's minds, that'll make me a white nationalist. But it's ridiculous just watching the people play politics and have completely opposite opinions now than they would have had yesterday on both sides. How the left is suddenly okay with all this stuff. If this had happened under Trump, they'd have been like, Trump slaughters Afghani people. And then now people are slamming Trump for, these are the people Trump tried to negotiate with. Well, maybe he was trying to negotiate, hey, we'll pull out, you don't storm in and start killing people, and we'll arrange a peaceful transfer of power. Maybe that's what he was trying to negotiate. So the only blame I put on anybody is the people who started the war. To me, that's Cheney, Rumsfeld, that group of people. The people who allowed it to continue, every president since then, every person in Congress since then, because they're cowards and they're self-serving cowards, and they didn't want the withdrawal to happen under their watch. And I also blame Biden for, like I said, either being stupid or incompetent or a liar. Because if they're going to pull out, be honest with the American people. Tell them what it's going to be like. Don't leave yourself open for something like this. There's a dredger or something over there making a lot of noise. But that's how I feel. But if someone's got a different opinion, let me know. Email me at shootingleftofcenter and put in the subject line at shootingleftofcenter@gmail.com. And in the subject line, put slap the yank. And I will look at all those, and you can come in to my live chat either tonight, tomorrow night, whatever. We can compare our opinions, see where they're the same, where they're different. But like I say, just get a hold of me. But for all the people that have been sending me emails asking what my opinions of this are, like I say, it's been a clusterfuck since we went over there. Every military official that was involved at the time and since has told everyone this is never going to end well, because you're not letting the military do their job. You're forcing them to fail. You're limiting them. Because the only way we could have won is wipe out half the Afghani people. And since you didn't want to do that, why send the military over there? So like I say, it was doomed from the beginning. It was always going to be a bloodbath when we pulled out. It was always going to be the same conclusion. The Taliban was going to take back over, and the Afghan people were not going to really care, because they're not the ones that really started the fight in the first place. So why did they care? And the thing about, but we left materials over there and supplies. Yeah, supplies for ground wars, and we do that every fucking time. Let's not try to pretend that's the first time. Usually when we fight people over there, we're fighting them with weapons we gave them. We're fighting against weapons we gave them, or they got from the Soviets when they pulled out. It's all the same shit all the time. We do this all the time. Play this game. It's all part of perpetuating the war machine, the profitable war machine, industrial war complex in this country. But that's a different topic. So like I said, let me know if your opinion differs with mine. There's mine. Like I say, not the most informed opinion in the world. Maybe not the most compassionate opinion in the world. I fully admit that I am a flawed, broken human being sometimes when it comes to my callousness. But the world has made me like that. So I blame the world. Couldn't possibly be my fault. But like I said, that's my opinion. I'd love to hear yours, but for now, right or wrong, that's what I think. I'm filming a video. Go the fuck away.